The story of David and Goliath comes from 1 Samuel chapter 17. Saul and the army of Israel gathered together. They camped in the valley of Elah. They lined up their men to fight against the Philistines. The Philistine army was camped on one hill. Israel's army was on another. The valley was between them. A mighty hero named Goliath came out of the Philistine camp. He was from Gath. He was more than 9 feet tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head. He wore bronze armor that weighed 125 pounds. On his legs he wore bronze guards. He carried a bronze javelin on his back. His spear was as big as a weaver's rod. Its iron point weighed 15 pounds. The man who carried his shield walked along in front of him. Goliath stood there and shouted to the soldiers of Israel. He said, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? I'm a Philistine. You are servants of Saul. Choose one of your men. Have him come down and face me. If he's able to fight and kill me, we'll become your slaves. But if I win and kill him, you will become our slaves and serve us." Goliath continued, "This day I dare the soldiers of Israel to send a man down to fight against me." Saul and the whole army of Israel heard what the Philistines said. They were terrified. Every morning and evening, Goliath came forward and stood there. He did it for 40 days. David said to Saul, "Don't let anyone lose hope because of that Philistine. I'll go out and fight him." Saul replied, "You aren't able to go out there and fight that Philistine. You are too young. He's been a warrior ever since he was a boy." But David said to Saul, "I've been taking care of my father's sheep. Sometimes a lion or a bear would come and carry off a sheep from the flock. The Lord saved me from the paw of the lion. He saved me from the paw of the bear. And he'll save me from the powerful hand of this Philistine too." Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." Then David picked up his wooden staff. He went down to a stream and chose 5 smooth stones. He put them in the pocket of his shepherd's bag. Then he took his sling in his hand and approached Goliath. David said to Goliath, "You are coming to fight against me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin. But I'm coming against you in the name of the Lord, who rules over all. He is the God of the armies of Israel. He is the one you have dared to fight against. This day the Lord will give me the victory over you. Then the whole world will know there is a God in Israel. The Lord doesn't rescue people by using a sword or a spear, and everyone here will know it. The battle belongs to the Lord. He will hand all of you over to us." As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly to the battle line to meet him. He reached into his bag. He took out a stone. He put it in his sling. He slung it at Goliath. The stone hit him on the forehead and sank into it. He fell to the ground on his face. So David won the fight against Goliath with a sling and a stone. He struck down the Philistine and killed him. He did it without even using a sword.
Hi, I'm Berkeley.
And I'm Abby, and welcome to day 2 of VBS Crafts. Today, if you have this pouch, what you want to do is take the string in through one hole and out through the next. And then just repeat that until you've closed your pouch. And then go find yourself 5 cool stones, put them in your pouch, and you can be just like David.
And if you have this pouch, then you can decorate it, and then you get to put these cool, colorful stones into your pouch.
All right, well, we hope you have lots of fun with these crafts, and we'll see you guys next day, tomorrow.
Bye!
Bye!
Hi, boys and girls. This week we're going to be reading some very exciting Bible stories for our VBS. Tonight we're thinking about the story of David and Goliath. Perhaps you've heard that before. The story of David and Goliath is really special because it invites us to think about how God is with us when we face things, situations, or people that we're afraid of. Goliath was this monstrous man, very big, a warrior, and he intimidated the whole army of Israel. But David wasn't scared. He's inspiring because he believes so strongly that God will be with him and protect him and his people. When he encounters the king as a boy, the king doesn't want to send him out to face the giant Goliath. In a part of the story that you didn't read or hear this evening, the king actually offers for David to wear his armor. This would have been very, very heavy. It would have been things that he wore to cover his upper body, things that he would have in terms of weapons, and things to protect him. But because of his size, he wouldn't have been able to move. He wouldn't have even been able to throw the stone that caused Goliath to fall. It reminds me of the fact that sometimes we think we need to have all sorts of stuff or certain things to be protected, to feel as if we can face those things that scare us. David reminds us that when we have God, we don't have to be afraid, that you plus God is enough. That's really, really special and something I want you to keep in mind, because no matter how old you are, whether you're a child or whether you're a grown-up, there's always going to be things that cause you to be afraid. If we're honest with ourselves, there's always going to be something that causes us to be afraid. But we don't have to let that stop us from living our lives, and especially from trusting in God. No matter what happened to David, he knew that God would be there to take care of him and his people. He had faced all sorts of things in his life before, lions and tigers. He was a shepherd boy after all, and he had to protect them. He knew that just like those animals were protected by him, God would protect him in this moment. His victory was a miracle, but it's also an exciting way that we can remember the power of believing in God, no matter what. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. We're going to explore more Bible stories that are very exciting and have something to teach us about how even though we may face big things in this life, God enables us to be victorious and safe and to do His will. Let's close in a prayer. Oh God, we thank you for the story of David and Goliath and how it reminds us that whatever we face, we do not have to be afraid because you are with us. Walk with us and remind us that us and you were enough to face the future unafraid. Be with the little children and their families. Amen.